So good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another YouTube live session where we'll be talking about Python. Right. In the previous days, we covered a few interview questions from big MNC companies like Deloitte, Flipkart, and Uber. Right. Coming today, we'll be talking about data visualizations using Seaborn. Right. If you are aware of using Python, we know we are able to create charts and graphs using several libraries. Okay, one of the most famous libraries, Matplotlib. Right, that is the basic foundation of visualizations in Python. Right, and then we talk about Seaborn, which is another advanced library which is built upon Matplotlib that gives us a lot of control as to how we want our graphs to look like. Okay, so the first step is talking about a library. We'll have to install pip install Seaborn. This is the command. Right, this will not install anything new. It will just say requirement already satisfied, because if you're using Google Colab, it will already become pre-installed. Right, so whenever you have a in library installed, if you want to import it, we'll have to use the keyword import. Okay, here we'll be playing around with two libraries. One is Matplotlib and Seaborn. Let me just go ahead and print it for you. You have to write import Seaborn and then giving it an alias SNS to make our calling out functions easier. And then it is import matplotlib dot pyplot and then giving it as another alias. These are the two major libraries which we'll be working with, because Seaborn will be used for visualizations and Matplotlib will be used as part of beautification. Okay, and the dataset which we'll be working with will again come from Seaborn. Dataset is also something which Seaborn can provide to us. Okay, apart from just creating graphs and charts, there are some inbuilt libraries and inbuilt datasets which Seaborn provide us that we can use. Okay, so I'll be loading it into my variable called df. Okay, and the command goes like this: sns dot load underscore dataset. This is the function, and here we provide with the name. Okay, today we'll be going with a dataset called tips. Okay, we have other datasets from Seaborn like Titanic, penguins, and others. Right, you can have a try. Let me first just load the dataset onto my df, my variable, and then just see how my data frame looks like. Right, so in total we have 244 rows accompanied by 7 columns. Right, so just to get the visualizations, before we get into that, okay, there are some statistical things which we can do using just inbuilt functions like df.info. Right, this will give me the total number of columns, what type it is. Okay, do we have any none values or not? Okay, why do we require this? That we require these things, the data types of the given column, for us to choose what visualizations we have to go with. Okay, not every single visualization can go with any other column. Right, there are specific charts or graphs built for specific data types. Right, as we know, for numerical columns we have scatter plots, we have box plots to check for outliers, and for categorical data along with count data, we have histograms and bar plots. Okay, so we'll take a look at them one by one, starting with a basic bar plot. But I'll just write the name bar plot. This will give us the values. Okay, we can infer many things from a bar plot of how the average count for a given day is. Right, we'll be taking here two columns. One is day and the other is total bill. Okay, and the command or the function to create a bar plot using SNS is simple, very simple. SNS dot bar plot, and here we are required to give at least two arguments which are very important, which is your x-axis and y-axis. Okay, so on x-axis I'll keep day, which is my categorical column, and on y-axis I'll keep total bill, as we have discussed before, total bill. And from which dataset I have to take these x and y columns? From my dataset named df. So I'll give data as df. Right. So what am I saying this function to? Take the data, which is my df. From there, take these two column names, day and total bill, and I'm assigning them to a specific axis, x and y, and then just printing a bar plot. Okay, there is one more command which is, you know, goes into combination with a bar plot or any other graph, which is plt.show. Okay, that will not give you the details below the graph. It will just show you how the graphics look like. Right? If I just remove this, you'll see we'll be having these values: axis label, y label. Okay, I don't want these as a part of my chart. Right? So to ignore these, I'll just use plt.show, and this is your the basic bar plot. Okay, so day wise, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, these are the total bills. If I just scroll up, how does my total bills look like? Right, continuous values. So what are we trying to do? Visualize for every single day what is the average total bill. Okay, the maximum is on Sunday, which is very abundant or very evident, right? And the least is on Friday. If you look closely, there is a little slight gap between Thursday and Friday, right? So what better can I do? And the line which you are able to say this part is your confidence interval. But this is a default thing which Seaborn, okay, a bar plot created using Seaborn will be having. This represents confidence interval. But am I? It is my choice, right? Am I getting any benefit from this? Sure, you can. It depends on what use case you are using for. Right? In my use case, I do not require this. I just want a beautiful chart. Okay, that is having some other colors, right? I would like to have a title here. Okay, one title here, and I would like to change the colors. I don't like the default colors. So what do I have to do for that? I can make use of beautifications or hyperparameters available in the options. Okay, first we'll start with again sns dot bar plot. X is what? Day. Y is my total bill. There has to be a space before and after an operator. Total bill. And here comes our data from which I want to include these X and Y columns. Okay, then I'll give a palette. Okay, palette is one command that would give you options to choose any color maps you want. Okay, for colorization, I'll be going with something called Marco. We have a lot of these things. Okay, you at the end of the session, I'll just take you through the documentation where all of these operations are available. Okay, with examples. Okay, and then to stop this, right? I told this is confidence interval. So it goes with the keyword CI standing for confidence interval. I don't want this. I'll just give it none. Okay, if I just run this and it is plt.show, let it run. Okay, and what are we seeing here? As a part of warning, it is saying the operations which you have used are a little old. Okay, to not have this warning coming again and again, you can change the parameter which we have been using as palette. I can just give what? I'll give you as my day. That is exactly what is doing, right? But did I get the chance to choose what I want to do? Right? Which color palette would I like to use? No, right? So I'll just stick with the old one. Okay, you can ignore the warnings which you're getting. I'll just go with Marco again. And this is the preferred color I would like to have. And then I would like some labels. Okay, I just don't want the column names to be present here, just day and total bill. I would like to add some text like I've talked about before. So to do these kind of modifications to the given graph, we can use PLT or your matplotlib. What is it? PLT.title. Okay, here you can give a title, let's say bar plot for our data. Okay, for X label, or let's say for X axis, if I want to print something of my own, not the default column name, I would give what? plt.x label. Okay, I would change from day to day of the week. I'll just keep W capital for now. And then for Y label also, for Y axis, plt.y label. And okay, I will what? Total bills in dollar. Total bill amount in brackets, I'll just give the dollar symbol and just run this. Do you see the change from the default one to the one which we were able to modify or have some changes? This is the default blue color. Okay, very simple, very plain. No color, no colorfulness, and a weird line coming in the middle. It might depend on what you're trying to inference from here, but I would not like to have that. I'm having a title now. I have my X and Y labels set and my chosen color. Right? There are many things. If I just want to change it from ice from Marco to AiSPRY, okay, it comes like this. We also have something called pastel. Okay, you can change these values for palette which we have given based on what do you require. Okay, you can browse through the different color maps we have from PLT and your Seaborn. Okay, this was all about a bar plot. Okay, it is very evident that Sunday is having the highest total number of bills. Okay, the total amount of bills is the maximum in Saturday, is maximum in Sunday, and the least in Friday. By least, it is comparative. Okay, I'm not saying it is literally zero or just one. No, compared to these values, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Friday is having the least total number of, total amount of bills compared to these three. That is one inference which we can get. Okay, the next chart which we'll be talking about is count plot. Okay, this just gives us the count of what you want to see. Okay, again, the function remains the same, just SNS dot the name of plot, which is count plot. Okay, I would like to have a count of what on x-axis, which is for a day. Y-axis will by default have the frequency or count. Okay, I would like to have this data taken from where? My df variable. Okay, and this is the count plot. Again, we'll have to have plt.show to not get this message on the top. Okay, it is not a big sin to have it, but it just does not feel right. Okay, what are this count in my total data set? I have the Saturday count, a count of Saturday, the maximum. Then we have Sunday. Then the least count is for Thursday. And among all these three, Friday is the least. Okay, in my data set. If I had to look this visually, I would use a count plot, or else I would use what? df of day dot value counts, and that would give me the same result. Okay, 87, 76, 62, and 90. This is exactly what we are able to see in the graph. These are the values, the actual values. Look at the comparison of a normal table versus a complete graph. Right? But again, this is the just the default options which we have just seen for count plot. Okay, let me just delete this for now. Okay, add a coding line. Right, I would like to have some changes. I'll just write plt.show so that we don't miss it out. And then write the things below that. Right, sns dot count plot was our function. We are giving in x-axis our day and take that from where? My data frame. Right, like we did for palettes. Like we did for bar plot, we would give a palette value here to just check with different colors. But here we'll be going with hue. Okay, I would not require or I would not entertain the warning message. I would just give hue, and based on these days, okay, what are the counts we have here? Separate them on the basis of one column, which is your sex. If I just go up where my data set is, okay, on a given day, who gave me the tip, what amount, and what was the total bill? This is what this talks about. Right. So on a given Sunday, I have one female, three males. Okay, we just talk about the first four columns or first four rows. Right. On the same way, I would like to have this differentiation made on every day. What is the count of male and females? Right. Based on that sex column, I would like to have the data differentiated. What I would do, I would just add a palette command. I would go with something called cool warm as well. Okay, this also looks like. Then same thing which we did, plt dot title. Okay, just write count plot for our data. Same thing goes with here. X label, I would not like the day column. Just write the same thing, day of the week with the blue capital. For plt dot y label, what I would like, what is it giving us? Count. Just add these. Okay, 1 second. And on my level, I just write count. Okay, I just want the C capital. I don't want to add anything. And then at last, we have to have this plt.show. And let us see what it looks like. Do you see on a given Thursday, out of 64, okay, we had around 30, which is for male. This is what we are getting. using hue. If you remember, we gave hue for what? The column name sex, right? So based on that differentiation, I'm able to differentiate on a given day what is the total count of male and female. But if you see, this is not the order I want. Okay, it's just mixed up, right? Thursday is not the minimum, Friday is the minimum, but it's still in the middle. Saturday is the highest, but again, it is not at the very last or at the very beginning, right? If you want to have this order, we would just use the same command which we used previously to just view it in a simple table, which is our value counts, and store it in a variable called order. Okay, order would be what? Df of day dot value counts, and I'll just take the index out of it. Sorry, I forgot a parenthesis. And if I just see order, what it looks like, print order, right? It is, if you see, I will just scroll up. Okay, the plot which we have seen, I've just deleted it. 1 second. Let me just run this in a separate line. Print, run this, and just keep it above. Oh, there's a space in the beginning. That's why it's getting a red line, right? So based on, it is already sorted in what? Descending order. The maximum number of orders or count, right, is at the top, followed by the, it is sorted in what? Descending order by default. Let me just change the color. It is already sorted in descending order, and this is exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, when I say dot index, I'm just taking the day part, which is our index. This is your index column, day. Okay, I'm just taking this values from Saturday to, 1 second, right, from Saturday to Friday, and I would like my graph to be plotted in this order. So I would just make these changes, to just copy the same code and add one more hyperparameter called order. Okay, and what does it look like? Order is the hyperparameter, and I like to pass my order. Order here, the first order which you're seeing this, right? This is your hyperparameter, and this is my variable. And this is, let's say, hyperparameter. So what is happening if I just run this? Just remove the extra spaces. See, it looks a lot better. It is sorted in order, right? Starting from the descending order, what is the maximum number of count on a given day versus least? Right, you're able to see this. This looks a lot sorted than before. Right, when we gave what? Order. Okay, next, a very one more popular graph called histogram. Right, for let's say it is for frequency distribution. And again, like previously, it is what? SNS dot hist plot. Okay, for histogram, it's hist plot. Again, we'll have to give what? X-axis. Right here, instead of giving an X, I will just pass the value DF of total bill. Okay, so do we have an underscore? Yes, we have. Okay, giving the right column names is very important. Just give this. Again, plt.show to not get that message of printing, plt.show. But this is the very basic histogram. Okay, it is a little better looking than matplotlib, but again, there are a lot of scope for beautification. Okay, for from 0 to 50. Okay, how are the bills distributed in terms of count? The maximum number of bills are ranging between $10 to, let's say, 25. Okay, in this range. Okay, if we have to visualize the actual flow, okay, we need something called KDE. Okay, kernel density plot. So that would just plot a graph here. Okay, this line of distribution, and that will help us understand the distribution of data complete, right, a lot better. So to make changes from for this default hist plot, I'll just give plt.show again. Okay, I'll just make some changes like this sns.hist plot. I'm giving what? Data of total bill as my column. Okay, here I did not give X and data as two separate things. I'm just giving it straight away. Okay, I would like to have bins. I don't know what is the default bins here, right? If I want to just choose the number of bins from my side, I'll just give it as 20. Right, when I talk about KDE, if you see, these are the available options which you can choose. Okay, and it also explains you what each parameter does. Here we are looking forward for KD is equal to true. That would just print the graph I was talking about and then change the color to, let's say, just blue. And I'll just show this graph. Okay, do you see the difference? Do you see this line appearing? Line of distribution appearing? And are the graphs much more better if we have a separate bin size? Okay, what if I reduce the bin size to 10? This is same as above, that with different colors and your KDE line plot. And for me, 20 looks better. So I'll just keep it to 20. And again, like previous graphs, for X label, Y label, or X and Y axis along with title, we'll give the values plt.title, let's say histogram. Okay, plt.x label. Sorry, spelling mistake. plt.x label, plt.y label, and let me just add the values. X value I want as total bill amount in, it was dollars. And in Y label, I would like to have frequency. Right? We have a lot of scope to make it more beautiful. Already by default, Seaborn looks much better, or let's say a lot, not if not much. It on paper it looks better than Matplotlib. That is for sure. Okay, we have something very similar to hist plot, that is your dist plot. Okay, density, distance. plt dot dist plot. I'll just give the same thing, df of total bill. Okay, color, I'll just give it as let me just give green. Okay, and then we'll give KDE as true. Sorry, it is not PLT, it's SNS. Okay, so now the graph or this distribution line is much more evident. Okay, and the histogram is a part of your background. Okay, here our main concern is to see the distribution line, okay, primarily, and histogram is a secondary, okay, to see actual distribution between these values. Okay, here again, plt.show, you can ignore the warning message. plt.show will just remove the first few lines. Okay, and this is all about your basic graphs for histogram, bar plot, count plot, and dist plot, density plot. Right, when we talk about outliers, I've talked about box plots, right, which we can use. But that is our next target, box plot. Function remains the same, sns dot box plot of what? Which column will I use? I'll just use your x is equal to day. Okay, I did not give the data. Data is equal to df. Okay, we are not able to see any whisker here. Let me just give box plot and then plt.show as always. And we'll give y is equal to total bill. Okay, based on total bill on every day, we are first segregating on each day and then creating a box plot to see if we have certain outliers or not. Let's say suspected outliers. Okay, again, this can be made a lot difficult. Okay, a lot more beautiful. Okay, what are we will not just remake. Okay, I'll just copy the whole thing here and then beautify it. Okay, again we start with what? PLT dot title box plot at plt dot x label with day of the week. I can just select this whole thing and just run a single quote. plt dot y label as what? Total bill amount, and I want separate colors for these things. Okay, so I just add this command u, okay, with a space. U is equal to, I'll give day. Okay, I don't want circles. Okay, I would like to have something other. Let's say I want an X there. Okay, in place of your circles, because it is overlapping. Okay, I believe it would be a lot better for me to visualize the overlappings in X. So what would I do? There's a separate field flyer props. Okay, here we'll have to give a dictionary marker is to X. Okay, this is my key and value pair. That would change the color. Sorry, I forgot a comma. Right? This looks a lot better. We're having separate colors for every box plot that is based on the day, and the symbols which we had here, which was by default or which is by default a circle, is now getting into X because we used what? Flyer props. That is the argument. Like this, okay, I can just keep on explaining what are the different plots or what are the different available plots and functions. If you want to go through all these, okay, it is not possible for me to cover everything. So just go to Seaborn documentation, go to tutorial. You have a lot of options to cover with. Okay, color palettes, you have aesthetics, multiple plots in a single plot. Okay, let's say for the whole data set, if I want to plot everything at once, okay, in a single figure, I would like to have all these things. Okay, let's start with box plot itself. Okay, here on the side, we'll have all the available options for SNS. Okay, and we start with what? RE plot. Okay, we have all these many plots, color palettes in their own. If you see, these are the available parameters and hyperparameters available. Okay, and the below we have all of those explained. Okay, with a definition, it is defining what every function does or what every parameter does and what are the available options. Okay, if you want to see how it looks like, don't worry. You can just scroll down where it shows with different values. You can have it horizontal, you can have it vertical, because you can have multiple things like we just did, right? Day with total bills. You can also give them a legend. Let's say here we call them hue. That if you're aware of the concept of legend, yes, you can do that. If you don't want it to be filled, you can just give it fill as false. Right? We can have these values for each plot A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That depends. You can increase the size of whisker, thickness, color. That everything can be changed. If you see here, we were able to change the color to what intensity and what will be the color of the line. Okay, like this for many different plots we have. Okay, I would like just advise you to go through the documentation for Seaborn as well as Matplotlib so that you can combine those two plots together, those two libraries, and then create your choice. Okay, create your choice of graphs or plots based on what you require. Right? Comparing the default one to something which you have just changed. Okay, this will look a lot better. Okay, you can add these images as part of a presentation or as part of your, self-learning. Just keep it aside. Okay, if there are two people, one is just using the default options and the other is using all this beautification. Even though the graphs are about the same data set, this will look more appealing. Right, so have this content or of this quality with you. You'll have to go through the code again and again so that you remember these things. Okay, just watching session or just reading documentation will not help. You'll have to do it manually by yourself. Okay, just type it out, don't copy paste. That is not going to help you. Right, so please just take a look at the documentation, try these out, and that is all for the day. Thank you so much for having me.